Let's go to an FCS versus an FBS matchup. However, believe me if I tell you this, what if the FCS team is the favorite and it's like by 10?
Double digits.
So Montana State travels to play New Mexico this week, FS1 at 3 p.m. Central. Boys, what do we got on this game? The Bobcats are a real squad, and they're looking to cover the number against an FBS opponent. Jake.
Montana State hasn't played an FBS opponent since 2022, where they gave up 68 points to Oregon State. Granted, they are not playing the 2022 Oregon State team. They're playing a much lesser football team. But it's interesting. From all my research, I could not find a win for Montana State against an FBS opponent. And it's just crazy that they're favored by 10. I think it's up to 11 now on the road at an FBS school. New Mexico's completely revamped their roster, 29 new guys through the portal, some decent Power 4 experience. I think Bronco Mendenhall is the right guy for the job. I think they're going to have their guys ready to play. I think they're pretty excited. They like their dual threat quarterback. He was the backup last year. Have a former Iowa State running back, a couple of other Power 4 running backs that I think are going to be okay. Am I saying this team's going to go out and win 6 games in the Mountain West? No. But I'm saying you're crazy to give this team 11 points at home against Montana State. Montana State's going to want to run the football. They had 5 guys rush for over 450 yards last year, so it's going to be slow. But, I mean, I just think that this is going to be a team where it's going to be slow. Both of them like their running backs. I think New Mexico's feels good with where they're at. The running back spot, they're going to run their quarterback. I like New Mexico to cover at home. This is actually a play that I have. Full transparency. If you're new to the show, we are not gambling experts. I do not have my own power ratings. I try to do my own list. I try to do my own research. I try to follow some things and where it's going. I just think it's crazy to give this team 11 points at home against an FCS opponent in the first week of the year. Like, I don't know. It's
JP, how about the Montana State doubt going down there? Are you on the opposite side?
I think it's a rough way to start off your new head coaching career with a loss at home to Montana State. Now, this is a Montana State team that consistently gets to the quarterfinals, semifinals of the FCS playoffs in the last couple of years. But Tommy Malone, he was very good for Montana State a season ago. He's a better runner. Jake did bring that up with their ability to run the football. I mean, they had roughly, I think, over 260 or 70 yards per game last year as a football team. Like, this team runs the football and they do it well. New Mexico did bring in some guys on the defensive line to kind of shore things up, and Mendenhall can find a way to get a little more effort, get some guys who really want to be a part of the program and grow something the right way. Yeah, giving 10 to an FBS program on the road, especially that much of a travel, is a lot. But I think the Montana State team is probably licking their chops a little bit. I mean, I don't know what goes on in that camp each week, but if they are college kids like we were at one point, they know what the line is. They know they're picked to win this one, or they should win this one. But that does not necessarily mean they're going to walk in there and do so. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. New Mexico State has got to it's a program reset. New Mexico, God, I'm looking over here on the side
Lobos.
here.
We get excited. It happens. We're only hearing people calm down.
Well, it's good you bring that up, Jordan, because before they play New Mexico State in what is, I think, week 5, like, they got to be pretty up for this game if they're New Mexico. They got to get this one because they have at Arizona, at Auburn, Fresno State at home, and then they travel at New Mexico State. So, like, this is your one shot to get your first win under your first-year head coach before you kind of get through a tough little stretch to start the year. So you got to expect, I don't know. It's going to be a huge chip on your shoulder. If you're an FBS school, just an underdog by that much. And Montana State's not like they are, how to compare them FBS-wise. If they were in the FBS, they'd probably be a 7th or 8th team in FBS. Like, they're not North Dakota State. They lost to them in the playoffs. They're not Montana. Montana crushed them last year, and they're definitely not South Dakota State. So they're like a fringe tier 2 FCS school.
You and I.
Oh, however, Jake, I don't know if you lay out those good competitive FCS schools. I don't know if there's many out there that wouldn't pick New Mexico out of a line and be like, yep, we'll take them week 0. Like, we're talking about New Mexico here. This program is not good. Montana State, dead opposite. This team has national title hopes this year. This offense is for real, man. JP mentioned the quarterback, but how about you return 4 running backs? Your top 4 running backs all come back on a rushing game that was absolutely dominant last year. You bring back your leading pass recipient in Ty McCullough. I think he's good for one. I think Montana State covers this number, dude, and shows some FCS respect. Those top tier FCS programs 100% can beat New Mexico. And so put me on Montana State.
Hey, they can beat them. That's fine. They can beat them by 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. They can beat them by whatever. They just can't beat them by 10.
You just talked about they need this one. They need this one. No, they don't. They need a close game.
They need it so bad. They're going to be fighting the whole time. They're going to have the ball down 3. They're going to throw a pick to seal the game, but hey, they're going to cover. But they really fought hard in Broncos' first game.
Reese, what do you got on this matchup?
Well, the line climbed up to 11.5 today, according to FanDuel. But New Mexico
Monday line.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'm making sure people know. So like, numbers a little different now. But New Mexico is 6-0 straight up against FCS opponents since 2017. They're only 2-4 against the spread. And the Bobcats you talked about before, but they're 32-9 on the past 3 seasons making the playoffs every year. So yeah, it's a good program. But again, it's hard to know, your FCS, FBS. I don't know where you really lean because it's 2 programs. Like you have a lot of Montana State, but it's also a lot of unknowns for a New Mexico team where it's like everything's kind of new this year. So it's at double digits. I mean, week 0, it's really kind of hard to know where to go with that line.